They can be in this at any moment. They just gotta up their mental game, let their talent speak.
Amazing placement. What a shot.
A Yahtzee overhead.
Aspect of mental toughness here that's just different.
I like the body language of all four players.
Oh, look at that shot! Great hands from Kiro.
Hello and welcome to the 23-24 APTA Tour presented by Volley. We're live from the Woodstock Club in Indianapolis, Indiana, bringing you the 2024 Indianapolis Open, which is the 14th stop on the 23-24 APTA Tour. With live streaming brought to you by the APTA membership, the APTA national sponsors, Volley Infusion, and local sponsors, Matt King Realty, Woodstock Degenerates, Virgin Held, Silly Pint, High Alpha, Dinsmore Law, Bullet Bourbon, and Xenon Paddle. I'm Mike Raleigh, along with John Kilmer and Tim Button, bringing you the men's semifinals between Nunez, Osses-Konig, and Randt and Mitchell. John, tell us how they got here and who we have on the screen.
So, welcome to the semifinals. Looking forward to a great match. On the bottom of our screen, we have Felipe Osses-Konig in the purple hoodie with his partner Guillermo Nunez, who just won a 2.5-hour three-set battle in the quarterfinals. And on the top of your screen, serving in the black hat is Stephen Mitchell, and at the net in the vest and white hat is recently inducted Hall of Famer Johan Durant, both of which won three-set quarterfinals. Looking to have a really good semifinal here to kick off our evening of paddle at the 50th annual Indy Open.
50th annual. And Tim, as a local man there, 50 years of Indianapolis paddle. How long you been playing the game here at Woodstock?
Well, I was a latecomer to the sport, came in, started playing 7 years ago, was addicted after my second time playing. It's pretty amazing to be at a place that has courts that are related to 50 years ago. We met Jack Hogan yesterday, who was a player here from Indianapolis who played in the original, or the inaugural Indianapolis Open. Terrific gentleman. He gave us a program from 1975 that he still had, and was able to share a history of the Indianapolis paddle scene that started with probably 7 or 8 courts in people's backyards, and then various clubs started adding facilities over time.
Wow, that's great. Man, they wasted no time. We're at 30-15 for Randt Mitchell here in the first game. I think we're in for some fun paddle. You know, it's almost like we don't need any introduction for Randt and Mitchell, but Osses-Konig and Guillermo here, I love watching you guys and watching the live stream. They played a great three-set match earlier. Very dynamic team. They got offense from both sides. Playing with the, as you mentioned before, John, the forehands on the outside, but they have the two-handers in the middle.
And I feel like Durant Mitchell must have watched that and taken notes, because in that last match, a really effective play for Nunez and Konig was Konig hitting a really nice low return and Nunez blitzing off that. And they tried that a couple shots ago, and Stephen Mitchell got on top of the net, stuffed that volley, and said, "Not today, boys."
Yeah, we'll see if they can continue to take that ball. And I always say that's winning the battle. You're playing downhill when you're volleying down at the blitzer rather than lifting to the blitzer. It's a great point. "50 years of the Indy Open. This is pretty exciting. Weather's what, about 20 degrees, and you see the snow in the background?
We're at 19. We got 5 or 6 inches of snow yesterday. It was a tough battle for a lot of players who had to pick out the green snowflake with all the white ones coming down.
Yeah. It's funny, I got a notification on my phone from 7 years ago. I played the Indy Open and visited my son at IU. and we were in shirt sleeves, and it was like 55 degrees, I believe. So year to year, things can change.
We get snow in May and we get warm sun in February sometimes.
I think we're going to see here. I mean, I love watching Randt and Mitchell when they're at the net. They throw everything but the kitchen sink at them. Rollers, cuts, that hard overhead right at the body. Deuce here, first game. Great drive from Osses-Konig. Nice little spot drive there from Johan Durant.
Yeah, he seems to know as well as anybody on that court that both Osses-Konig and Guillermo like to flip to that forehand volley. So if he can go hip to hip like he's just doing there, it's going to be some really successful spot drives.
It's a great pickup. I think it's, you know, especially when you've got the talented guys coming off that tennis court. It's, you know, if there ever is a vulnerability, it's kind of that opposite hip, making a flip back into that volley. You could draw some volley errors.
Now, I don't know how many points we're going to get to see where Durant Mitchell are at the baseline for a prolonged period of time, but something to note, I love the way how every time Durant lobs, he really holds that head down for an extended period of time on that follow-through. Just really good, simple tip to make sure that that lob is successfully hidden every time. And if Durant is keeping his head down, I think the rest of us should probably keep our head down as well.
Yeah. If he was standing on his head, I think you'd see players doing it just to try to emulate it.
I know I would. My lobs got better after I kind of emulated the Durant stare. So anything he does, I'm sure we'll give it a shot.
There you go. We see the threat of the blitz there from Durant. Might have drawn a little volley error. 30-all, second game.
That would have been a very fun around the post shot. You can tell he has been playing more pickleball these days, going for a little ATP like that.
Boy, you're seeing a lot of early offense. Early and often they're driving that ball. I wonder what their, you know, what do you think, John, that their game plan here, early strategy would be?
I think a lot of it right now is just figuring out, one, what balls they feel comfortable driving. As everybody watching this knows, there's probably not a ball that Durant Mitchell can't drive. So just figuring out what is a high success rate for them and seeing how often that they can make Nunez and Osses-Konig flip. So I think right now is a lot of it just figuring out what their range is going to be.
What happened there? Does the ball touch somebody?
That, or it kind of looked like that sign maybe they looked at. I'm not entirely sure.
Sign of the light above it. I don't think it was that high, though.
Just a quick little matrix move to get out of that. Ball's up a little bit high. It'd be interesting too to see if Durant stays with that underhand serve into the ad side.
Yeah, it seems to be from previous matches this year, he gives himself about 2 to 3 misses total, and then once it hits that threshold, it's fast and heavy spinners into the ad corner.
Oh, there's a second fault, so we'll see what happens. deuce here, 1-all. Semifinals of the Indianapolis, the 50th Indianapolis Open at Woodstock. It's a really neat spot that you guys have there, Tim, with the down in the ravines.
We are blessed with geography.
It's a great course, you know. And I got a shout out to the Woodstock. I think the most incredible thing that they serve there is the candied bacon. Are they still serving that?
Absolutely. Should be available tonight at the reception. So,
man,
we'll take a picture.
Save some for me.
We'll send you a picture.
It really is the little things that you remember from tournaments. The candy bacon at Indy, the showers in Cleveland. That's the things that make the paddle tournaments worthwhile.
Absolutely. You know, and I think a really interesting thing that I was talking with one of my members today was Randt and Mitchell this year have not won a tournament, which is amazing. That, you know, it must be the level of play of their opponents. But I think going into nationals, it's still hard to not make them one of the top favorites.
Yeah, I think it's Mark Fischel who said it best, that you can never count out Randt and Mitchell. Even after they shake hands, there's still a chance that they could come back. So that's kind of the way I think we have to operate until proven otherwise.
Yeah, and I just think that they've got to be hungry. It's great to see them that they're coming. They came to Indianapolis. It's quite a deep draw. I mean, boy, you got Osses-Konig and Nunez is the 4th seed. And that's a pretty deep tournament, just even in the top 4 seeds.
Yeah, last year, defending champions Dan Hirsch and Dan Hansen weren't even seeded, and they were the 2 seed last year. So, to your point, incredible turnout for the 50th annual. Oh, that's a nasty cut from Johan Durant to take it to 2-1.
Filthy cutter.
That's what you can do when you're the best player in the world.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we all think we can do. It's just he's the only one who can actually do it when it matters.
And it stays on the court.
This is true, but you know what? Hitting your opponent still wins you the point.
Yes, it does.
You know, and I think that is one of the things that makes the best players is, and you all had talked a little bit about it in the previous match, was, you know, these top players, there's 100% commitment to the shot that they're hitting. And, you know, it's I mean, when Johan is able to step forward and take a full cut at that ball, or, you know, Mitchell crack his forehand, that 100% commitment to the shot that they're executing is something that you should, you know, all the students at home, all the players at home should bank that. Oh, talk about commitment. That thing, that thing had some steam to it. Might have been just long though.
And something to pay attention to, Mike, I don't know if you're catching it as much as I am, but it seems like there are a lot of moments where Durant is incorporating some more dink and dunk pickleball stuff. And don't get me wrong, I think those are some really interesting shots, but I'd have to imagine the Stephen Mitchell forehand is going to be a better play for them than a Durant dink and dunk backhand.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point. But, you know, one of the things that has made Durant so good over the years is, I think you had referred to it earlier as the north-south game.
Yeah.
Where his ability to take kind of a roll drive and then with 2 steps, he's right in your face as a volleyer, you know, ready to stuff you. And I mean, you know, so that his ability to move forward that quickly, and especially when you've got Nunez and Osses-Konig who are volleying from off the net, that change of speed and the threat of the blitz, I think that's a great play. But if Mitchell's got a forehand, to your point, he's got to be letting it rip, and, you know, that chip backhand will play second fiddle to that forehand any day. Takes us to 2-all. First set of the semis here. Stephen Mitchell to serve a second time.
And everything's happening so fast. It looks like right now all four guys are just missing a few more looks than they'd like to for us to kind of figure out right now what the overarching strategy is going to be for either team.
Yeah, and, you know, they're still in kind of that dating phase. They're, oh, holy smokes. Put that thing on rewind.
I think, let's watch. I think he started just walking backwards as soon as he hit it. He knew he did something good. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Night, night. Tim, you had said that there was, did he teach you that at the clinic last night?
Sorry, missed that.
Did Johan teach you that in the clinic last night?
He did not. I was spectating for that, but we had a lot of club players here in town who had their chance to get 30 minutes with Randt, 30 minutes with Mitchell, and 30 minutes with host pro Brian Hagman, and had a fantastic time, and everybody came off the court smiling.
That's awesome.
I believe Johan Durant also has a My Paddle video on how to fake apologize after hitting somebody with your forehand drive, which is one of my favorite things I've ever seen.
What a little service break, and we've got a read from a sponsor here.
We do. Volley is the official sponsor of the APTA for the 2023-2024 season. Backed by cutting-edge technology, including its unique vision software, Volley is the innovator of the first AI-enabled racket sports training experience that simulates point play. By enabling players and pro to record sessions on the court, Volley also delivers off-the-court player analysis and support, all from your phone. It takes only minutes to sign up. Ask your pro about a volley lesson today. For more information, visit getvolley.com. Mike, have you had the opportunity to try out a volley machine?
I have, and we are in my club, Exmoor Country Club. We've had some discussions with the rackets committee, and you know, as a pro, I think it's an amazing tool to the wear and tear on the body, but also for the membership to be able to kind of simulate real play is, you know, I think it's incredible, the technology. I've actually used it on the padel court as well. So it's a really neat doesn't do it justice. I mean, it's an amazing machine.
The lefty spin feature would be a huge hit in Pittsburgh. I think I was kind of talking that last broadcast. There's 12 to 15 guys in Pittsburgh that are in the top 100 nationally, none of which are lefties. So to have a robot lefty for us to get used to that would be awesome.
You got to recruit some talent there and get them some lefty talent.
That we do.
Boy, a little cat and mouse being played here from Johan.
It is some controlled chaos. And typically as a team, before you get on court, you really want to try to figure out where is the safe spot that we can hit some reset overheads to. And I think maybe at best there is one board on this court right now that Nunez and Konig can call safe. So they have to be ready to volley, and for Johan and Steven to really, really look for some offense.
But you know, when you have offense and multiple different threats, you know, from side to side, I think that puts so much pressure too then on your placement with, relative to depth that, if I miss my spot left to right, but I hit it deep, you can handle that. But boy, you miss it left and short, right into somebody's offensive forehand. I think that's the important thing here is when they're in trouble, they've got to kind of counter with good depth. It's a great point.
That's just a phenomenal commitment to the backhand volley there from Nunez.
It's a great lesson. Great lesson for all the volleyers out there struggling on that first volley.
It might not feel the most natural, but making your volleys in always feels good.
I think speaking to the volley as well, you look at, how nonplussed they are when they know the drive's coming. There's no sweating it. It's just they look as cool as cucumbers volleying that ball, and they keep their hands, like you've said earlier, kind of keeping them real quiet, keeping them close to the body and favoring that backhand.
And to that point, too, I think a lot of club players think their goal at the net is to never allow their opponents to drive. And these guys know as long as that you can maintain your position and you can anticipate that ball being driven, just to your point, it can be cool as a cucumber up there and just handle that volley.
This is we're getting into kind of one of the first, I think this is the big game here. What do they say? The all-important 7th game. But boy, Randt and Mitchell want to stay kind of close.
Great cut shots into the corner. That's about 3 in a row by Mitchell.
Getting them done, getting it done. Boy, that where Randt moves so well and he's so quick with his 1 to 2 steps of his 6'4" frame. Osses-Konig and Nunez, they're equally as quick, but they just have to do a lot more work to get there.
Correct. Theirs never look nonchalant. Theirs look athletic and effortful, not a one-step go-go gadget arm.
Yep.
And that's exactly what you were talking about earlier, Mike. You cannot leave it both in front of one of their forehands and 3 feet short inside the court.
Yeah, that's double trouble. All right, there's the hold. Randt and Mitchell are down 3-4. Osses-Konig and Nunez. Kind of keeping it within reach here.
The vest has come off for Johan Durant, so looks like he means business now.
And it's I always say that, if I'm watching a match, say I've got some players that are playing a match, I should be able to see and define what their strategy is, especially later in this first set, by the first, after the first 6 games or so. I think from a viewing perspective here, I'm not sure if I've seen kind of a defined strategy from either teams, other than, okay, don't put the ball in positions that are going to really get us hurt.
And it seems to be cause chaos, but that definition from all four guys seems to be very fluid on a point-to-point basis, whether it be little chips and charges or heavy spins or really hard overheads to induce movement. Just seems to be movement for movement's sake right now.
Yeah, and I call it, you're calling it, what, control chaos? I call it engagement, right? Where they're trying to force the action and, you know, win the hand-to-hand battles when things do get sped up. But for Randt and Mitchell in the backcourt, I mean, to me, it looks like they are fully committed to hitting the drives when they get them. And like, that's the second drive here that Randt has missed, but I think the decision was right. Just the execution was a little long.
And it seems like from all four of these guys, their most successful drives have been when they have been able to get them low at their opponent's feet. The big hitters have just either been going out or being transitioned back. So I think, to your point, maybe just being a touch more selective about pushing your opponents off the net to get some more some more space at their feet.
Wow, Nunez with some great cover there at the net.
That allow you to just have a really good chance of success. And I am a big fan of the way that Johan Durant plays the deuce side. He camps out in the middle of the court and turns that entire side into his forehand. And if you're not going to go there, you have to go to Stephen Mitchell's forehand.
Not, you know, a lot of times they say, oh, well, the deuce side player's set up and the hammer's on the ad, but I mean, you see one of the greatest to ever play the game, and he's equally as good in the deuce or the ad, but his strategy on a good lob, you're going to see him step straight to the, you know, huge step to the left. And like you said, camp on that forehand drive. That was a great spot drive from Osses-Konig, caught and forced Durant to reach.
That's a phenomenal dig there.
Yeah. Sometimes it's, you don't even have to say anything, right? It's just, you let the play, the amazing shot, do the talking. That
It is. They just make it look so easy. I think sometimes we take for granted how good it is. No panic at all.
yeah. And I really like how they switch to in the backcourt, and they get Durant over in the ad side sometimes, just giving him a different look.
Big overhead rip by Mitchell.
Wow, we've seen two really good. I mean, when you're getting Johan Randt to miss a volley, you have absolutely hit. I don't like to use the word perfect, but you hit a really excellent spot to get him to reach and miss a volley. Hello. Do you think he apologized for that?
If you look, he did do the little fake paddle at the end when he got back up to the net. Put the paddle up and said sorry, but maybe didn't quite mean it.
Now, a phrase that I'll use fairly often when I teach and how to defend against the blitz is you have to you got to punch a bully in the mouth. That's how you stop him from, being a bully. And he didn't get punched in the mouth there. He did get hit in the can with that thing. That's, rather than avoiding him, that's a great lesson. That player is vulnerable if you've got a ball that you can control into the position that they're occupying.
But that play in and of itself has been working pretty well for Nunez. So I really liked how right after he got hit, 3-4 shots later, he went right back up to kind of dinking and blitzing because it's been working. Doesn't mean it's going to be 100%, but if you are confident in what you're bringing to the table, keep rocking with it.
Yeah, and again, success is based on how often it's working, and if it doesn't work once, doesn't mean that you give up on it. All right, this is where the rubber meets the road.
Oh, there's Nunez again. Saw that in the earlier action.
That's some filthy skin. It's filthy spin. And he's got two options with that. He can hit the slash that cuts out Mitchell's, lands deep and kind of moves through, kneecaps Mitchell, or you hit that cutter that just basically stops. And that little bit of hesitation from Mitchell was the difference maker there.
I think he was trying to punch the bully in the mouth there.
I agree.
That's a phrase I will be using more frequently in my day-to-day.
Big point right here. Oh, I think I jinxed him. And I think that's the amazing thing about this game is I think we all know the rule. If there's a discussion that, you play it over. Unless it's an officiated match and it's an overrule from the chair. But for the majority of us, I think that's one of the greatest things of this game is where you're, if my partner and I disagree on the ball, that the ball was returnable, we'll play it over. No harm, no foul. But I didn't, Tim, did they have, is Walt in the chair?
Walt Freihofer is on the side of the court on the deck. The chairs were awfully chilly and frozen, so they've had the umpires kind of in an unusual spot today.
He must have assisted on that call.
But he was directly across from where that serve went out.
See, an interesting, we see now Randt going into that heavy kicker into the side screen in the ad side.
Big drive by Randt from the baseline.
And that's a play that I really like across levels if you're able to do it, is that serve, stay back, and redrive. If that's an easier ball for you than that first volley, it's a great way to get up to the net. Granted, Randt can probably handle every first volley, but it's a play that's just, I think, a little underutilized by some of the players that have really strong drives.
Yeah, and I like it too when you go, especially like for two righties on the ad side, where they go Australian, and then the drive goes down the line, and it's a forehand screen drive, you know, for the server. What a great volley. And John, to your point there, that's that off-speed or medium-speed rolling ball that we get a volley error off of Nunez because he had to bend and reach for it, rather than a ball that's hit kind of at, you know, right in the strike zone between waist and chest high for most volleyers.
And that's when, as long as like you know that your drives are coming in bunches, and that if you get enough looks, you're going to get one to get low at their feet. That's just a really good place to be, especially when it's 5-5 in the first set and you need to walk out of there with a win.
Got Osses-Konig serving at 5-6 to stay in this. They're up 15-love, first set. Two uncharacteristic misses there from Randt.
Looks like Konig was pretty aware that that ball was going to be hit right at him and just got out of the way.
40-love here.
Just missing. That was a quick game.
Quick and painful. Brings us to a first set tiebreaker here.
And it seems like all day that we've been watching, the more important the situation, the more that Guillermo Nunez has really elevated his stuff to the next level. So really interested to see what he will bring to this tiebreaker here.
That was a good start. That little roll return and a blitz behind his own return.
It was. He does a good job of creating engagement. See Stephen Mitchell's starting to think about creeping up the side wires there to get a better forehand look. Ooh, that was close.
Oh, I love that little off-speed roll drive, followed by the hammer overhead. Wow, Stephen Mitchell. It shows you what a weapon that forehand, that roller can be, as well as the forehand return. unlucky. Letcourt takes us to 2-2 in the first set tiebreaker. Osses-Konig here to serve at 3-2 in the first set tiebreaker. 2 serving 3, sorry. You know, and John, it seems as if we're rather than one team playing exceptionally well, it's like they're taking turns making kind of uncharacteristic unforced errors. You know, and I mean it's flashes of just a few errors here and then great paddle in between, but I mean, just like paddle, it goes to show you that this is about not making those unforced errors.
I mean, the stat that I just think about every time I step onto a paddle court, and I believe it's 90%. 90% of the time, the team that last touches the ball loses. So, I mean, it really is, you want to be aggressive, but you want to be as aggressive as you can still do it with complete confidence that that ball is going in. Because you don't want to be taking 50-50 propositions when it's 4-all in the first set tiebreaker.
Wow, that's a great volley. And I loved how you saw Randt on that last volley. He absolutely made sure he followed the ball with his body. You know, some pros will call it planking, but he was fully committed to a backhand when the ball was blasted on him. And we saw him miss earlier in the set 2 volleys where he was reaching.
And that's a play I feel like Randt Mitchell don't quite use enough. It seems like Randt is hitting probably, what, 70% of the overheads as the team? But when you get him the chance to get on top of the net and just kind of sneak around and poach volleys, that is where he can be incredibly dangerous.
Well, and especially against, it takes kind of that indecision and implants it in the mind of the blitzers. And that's, you know, something that Nunez and Osses-Konig have kind of really been doing throughout the first set. And if you have to worry now about Randt stepping over and stuffing you, it kind of tends to slow that blitz game down a little bit.
That it does. And it takes us here to our first 2 set points for Randt Mitchell. It is funny how every time there's a big point, that's when the talking starts happening. You're hearing Mitchell, again, making loud calls on every ball.
Well, and the bigger the point, it's amazing, too, how more disciplined the players get. You know, all 4 players are now really tightening things down. You know, the start of this tiebreaker was a little loose. Great cover. That waterfall was a shot that Schneider, wow. And that takes us to the end of the first set. We'll be right back after these messages right here on the APTA YouTube channel presented by CPTC.
So what really interested me about the trainer was the endless opportunities with it. I've gone through a couple ball machines in my career before, and this really was a technologically advanced machine that I've never seen before. Digging into it a little more in depth, I really found the opportunities to use it in my advantage. All right, ladies, just 1 minute, we'll get started. Always trying to recreate these tennis ball machines into paddle ball machines to practice, and this was the first thing on the market that really came out. We have a robust membership here, very active in the paddle community, and I think the volley is going to kind of put us over top as a program. All right, ladies, welcome. All right, today we're going to go over our side back screens. So we've got the volley trainer out here with us today. We'll have two on this side hitting. So the cool part about the volley is during lessons when I'm able to use it is I really get a more in-depth connection with my clients. So when I have a lesson out on the court, I can set up the volley to feed a screen, and I don't have to be on the other side of the court kind of yelling to them what they need to change, what they need to do while I'm hitting. I'm really using my time with them right next to them to make those changes quicker so they can have more success in the long term. Bridget's on the net, Robin sliding over. We are going to be beat by this cross-court lob a lot. I'm Blake Anderson, Director of Rackets at Fairmont Country Club. Try the volley at your club and you won't regret it.
And welcome back to the APTA Tour. We're live from the Woodstock Club, bringing you the 2024 Indianapolis Open. The semifinal match between Randt and Mitchell and Osses-Konig and Nunez. Randt and Mitchell won the first set in a tiebreaker, and they wasted no time to start this second set here. I'm Mike Raleigh, along with John Kilmer and Tim Button. Boy.
It was wide, it was wide, it was wide, it was wide.
Boy, they're playing quick. This match is moving along. As much as I hate to say it, it looked to me like at the end of the second set, it was Mitchell and Durant just tighten things up a little bit in the last 4 or 5 games of that, or 4 or 5 points of that first set tiebreaker.
And I almost get the feeling that they know that they can tighten it up when they want to. So it enables them to kind of go for some risky stuff at the beginning of sets, and almost as long as the score is close, because they know when it gets close, they have that ability to tighten things up, which I don't know how sustainable that is at, a tournament like Indianapolis or Nationals, but I mean, it seems to be how they're playing right now.
They'll start at 7:10.
Stunning number of. Go ahead.
Sorry, Tim. Go ahead.
I'll say stunning number of unforced errors throughout that first set, and even starting off this second set, where both teams seem to be on firepower mode and not being too careful.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think, and I think that both teams kind of thrive on that engagement and the quick, the blitzes and the north to south movement, the transition play. And I think it's kind of what I had expected going into this was a tight match that, with a lot of action and then some few loose errors here and there. And I think after a few brief moments of we're back. Tim, I'm assuming you can hear me now?
You're live.
I'm live.
Perfect.
My wife loves it when I'm quiet. She loves it when the internet goes out or whatever the heck. As long as I'll be quiet. I talk in my sleep. It might surprise you all.
As long as you're not mic'd.
That would be something. Live streaming, talking in your sleep. Incredible. Maybe the CPTC crew. We gotta find somebody to sponsor it though.
Randt seems to be a little more aggressive at the net right now.
It almost looked like on that one, he was paying more attention to Nunez, who was kind of just on the prowl that whole point, going north-south, doing some controlled chaos or engagement, and just taking a little bit of that focus away from the shot and more towards Nunez.
Yeah, because that was a routine. Fun little backhand cutter.
Great response by Mitchell there.
Yeah, he was all over that. He knew it before that ball bounced where it was going.
And that's the type of kind of blitzing and off-speed shots that I'm a fan of, ones that have a lot of margin over the net. I think when you're trying to sneak it a centimeter over, it can be tough, but Mitchell did a great job there. High margin, dipping it down at the feet, really nice change-up.
Nice little break back here. But I'd love, while we're in a little break in the action as they're switching sides there, talk briefly about the team nationals that's coming up April 6th and 7th. This is something that Exmoor and myself are the host site for the women this year. And we're already at, I think it's only been open for 20 days now, or 17 days, the signups, and we're already have 60 teams signed up capacity. And I said, well, we blew by that, 10 teams ago. But for those that are listening, it's a great, it's kind of 6 to 8 men teams, or women's teams are in Chicago, and the men are out in New Jersey. But we kind of place them with similar PTI average teams, and it's a fantastic weekend of great team action and camaraderie, and some decent parties as well.
Yeah, I know a ton of the members at the Fox Chapel Racket Club in Pittsburgh make sure to mark their calendars for that every year. And it's something that they not only love for that weekend, but they talk about it for the whole year. So it absolutely, from everything I've heard, it's just a phenomenal event that's put on every year to turn this essentially into the most high-stakes league match that you can have for a weekend, and turn it into a little bit of a buddy's vacation.
Yeah, and they're competing for a national title. I mean, we hand out the national medals, same medals that are handed out to the men's and women's teams that win. So it's it's a fantastic, it's fun, serious battle. But and what I really like about it, people are like, well, I'm not good enough to play in a tournament, and I'm like, no, you absolutely. I've had ladies that play on our Series 13 team, with their PTIs are rather high, but we find a place for every level.
So Tim, one of the things that I'm very jealous of being remote is I don't get to kind of be there for the weekend and get a little bit of FaceTime with all the players. I remember you telling me that you got a little bit of quality time last night in the hut with Durant and Mitchell.
I feel like I stole a few minutes of magic. It was pretty fun. We had an exhibition match between Zach Held and his partner Ronnie Schneider against Johan Durant and Stephen Mitchell, and they played a fun set with some great action in that set. Then they came in the paddle hut and just started chewing the fat, shooting the bull, whatever you want to call it. And some great questions came out, some great answers came right back, such as comment about a back draw. And I think I asked the question to Randt of what's it like playing a back draw? And Mitchell quipped, he hasn't played in one in 10 years. And his comment back to Randt goes, oh, I try, which was a great comment. But more importantly, a great question was, when did you first start playing paddle? And he was, as I believe, a top 200 in the world ranked doubles player in tennis, and moved to the Boston area, and was asked by some local folks to be a fourth to play paddle, and then got invited to a set of courts that were 40 minutes from his house in Billerica, Massachusetts, a set of courts affectionately known as the Truck Stop. Because the gentleman who could buy that land to put those first courts up, put it up literally next to a truck stop on the interstate. And so it was great fun hearing of the name Truck Stop. The courts actually came down a few years ago. It was known also as the Guilfoyle Platform Tennis Club, but the players all called it the Truck Stop. And according to Johan, the courts fell into disrepair and that facility closed, but they've now been resurrected and relocated as part of the Needham Platform Tennis Club. So shout out to the Needham folks and the remnants of the Truck Stop courts that are still there today.
It's a great story.
It is rare that we hear a story good enough for us to miss one of our sponsor reads. So want to make sure that we give a quick shout out to Fusion. In collaboration with the APTA, Fusion is at the forefront of personalized gear and apparel. Backed by a team of seasoned industry experts, we provide exclusive access to high-end products from top-tier retail brands, all poised for customization with your club logo, team name, or corporate branding. Our streamlined approach guarantees a hassle-free shopping experience complemented by custom online storefronts and swift ordering. Visit gearbyfusion.com and let Fusion seamlessly weave your branding into elite merchandise.
I think I might have to talk to Brian Hagman about having Fusion build a Truck Stop paddle t-shirt for me.
I think that might be good enough for Johan to not wear his pickleball club shirt and maybe rock one of those at his next tournament. And I like that line a lot, Tim, that Johan said, try to try. It's something when I was coaching, I would accuse the juniors of a lot. I'm like, you guys, you're trying to try right now. And that is not the same thing as bringing your best effort.
John, I loved a comment you made, and I think it was a quote from Coach K. You're going to have to give me the coach again, or the quote again. A miss is not a
mistake. If it is your shot and you have it, you take it. Like, I don't think Steve Kerr has ever been mad that Steph Curry missed a three-pointer, right? That is your shot. If you have it, you need to take it regardless of the score.
I love that. I love that. I was like, wow, I got to write that down. I've had a lot of misses, I guess, than very few mistakes in my career.
The worst is when you make a mistake that is a bad choice and you miss the shot. That, unfortunately, very much is a mistake.
The failure to execute the wrong shot. That's the story of my life.
I like that. Yeah, when I would play with my partner, Cam Cohen, his role was to do all the fun stuff, and my role was to be the steady guy. So if I ever tried a cutter, that was a failure to execute the wrong shot for me, for sure.
But I love there how, as Nunez was coming in on that low ball, you saw Mitchell step forward, knowing that Nunez can only lift the ball up over the net. And so he takes away one of those options for Nunez, which is the dink, kind of, and then the drop, and then the blitz, almost a la pickleball dink there at his feet. Yeah, and Tim, I got to say that I think that, you know, when I, back in my playing days, I always loved coming down to Indy. They do such a great job with the organization and I mean the sense of community that they create down there. So kudos to everybody on the committee.
A big shout out to Ludo Aaron and Devin Anderson, Zach Held. I know there's more, Brian Hagman, there's others beyond that, but they've really created something special here. I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to put on the racing helmets on tomorrow. They neat introduction last year of the trophies for the winning team here in Indianapolis are Indianapolis 500 race helmets. The same cars, same helmets the IndyCar drivers put on their heads with the Indy Paddle logo on them. Last year we had the chance to have Marcus Ericsson come out and present those on center court after the finals match. He was the reigning, at the time, Indianapolis 500 champion, courtesy of Mark Miles, who's the president of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Really neat touch and kind of something that makes Indy unique.
Wow, that is I mean, I might have to come out of retirement just to what do they do for like the 150 division? Do they get like a bike helmet or something?
We might have a bottle of Old Woody bourbon. We had a special bottling a couple of years ago, not kidding, of it's a beautiful bottle that has a paddle on it and a good paddle poem written by one of our members here that I think last year's runners-up got the bottles.
Well, I'd take a bike helmet if that works too. You know, just
It allows us to be at the net with no fear. We're protected.
might need a face shield too. Boy, you see some quick little snap drives there from Johan drawing Valier.
It just seems that they've made their margins a little bit higher, and that's been a huge difference for them. What, this is their third consecutive game? Just makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and you can see the last couple points, a little frustration from Osses-Konig and Nunez. I mean, nothing crazy, but slap of the net tape with their paddle, or you know, it is amazing to watch the Randt and Mitchell. And we've been missing it a little bit in some of their matches in the, you know, this year in finals, where you're like, okay, we're going to see them kick it into that second gear or third gear. And it seems like they've found their gear right now.
And regardless of how talented both players are, and they are absolutely incredibly talented, you need a team strategy. And I feel like every time that they've made significant runs in matches and tournaments, they've had really clear roles. And the more that they can do that, whatever they decide that to be, just knowing what your job is and going out there and executing is just so pivotal.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like you saw last weekend on the live stream, they were in the finals. I think it was against McInerney and Powers. You know, the one set where they really dialed in and said, we're not going to let Powers forehand beat us. It was, you know, it wasn't close. And Powers and McInerney made a great, you know, they were able to kind of counter that strategy. But boy, I think that's an interesting thing about this game, is how it's such a chess match.
It is, and I've had the pleasure of getting to play with Graham a lot when he was in Pittsburgh, and he really, really is cerebral about how he approaches the game and does a great job, to your point, of making those mid-match adjustments. I think it's awesome to have a plan in the car ride there, but everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, and your ability to make those adjustments mid-match is just so important for everyone, whether you're Division 13, Division 1, or you're these guys out here battling it out on the live stream for Indy 500 helmets.
So true. Good look from Mitchell there. I love him cutting that corner.
It's always fun to see these guys start moving before their opponents hit the ball. They have such good anticipation over where that ball's going.
Yeah, I always say there's very few surprises You know, a favorite saying I've used forever. It wasn't even mine. I stole it from a buddy. Was the whole stadium knew what was coming, you know, and
I like that one.
it really, and it's just it goes to how this game. There's very few surprises, and boy, the team that kind of handles things the best usually wins. Yeah, to give credit for that quote, that was a Mike Marino. He was playing in the tournament. I was watching him a little bit with Robert Steinman this morning. But that was his quote years ago.
I think now every time I quote that, I'm going to have to quote it. Quote Mike Raleigh, quote Mike Marino.
You got to give credit. Don't quote me. You got to.
No. You're the one who told it to me. This is how phrases work.
Give credit the first time. After that, it's yours.
Yeah,
right.
It's absolutely right. Boy, we're at 5-3 now. 30 love. Randt and Mitchell.
Yeah, to quote Brad Easterbrook, I'm seeing a lot of hangdog right now from Nunez and Konig.
They are on the ropes.
Oh, Stephen Mitchell wanted to finish that match off with a blitz. I have a feeling a big forehand here is coming from Durant.
Just might.
Huh, that was reserved.
Wow, that's a great drive to save a second match point here.
And we saw it a lot in the last match. I believe in the first set, Osses-Konig and Nunez were at 5-2. And then Schneider and Held saved off a couple set points rather. And it just gave them some energy. And it's going to be interesting to see if Nunez and Konig can have that same reaction to saving 3 match points here.
Yeah, it's a fickle, this momentum shifts. It's a fickle beast, you know. We've all been there. Faced a major deficit, and that's the one, maybe the one thing that they can hang their kind of hopes on is, you know, so you're saying there's a chance. It's a great spot.
It is. High fives, good body language, and now between points. It could be huge here if they can get this one. Stephen Mitchell adding a little bit of pressure with that north-south movement. Ooh, nasty poach.
What a time to throw that in.
Little screen drive in there, and said Osses-Konig that said, no, I don't think so. No, Nunez. He had a bit of a walk away too when he hit that dropper.
He did. Dare I say, everybody in the stadium knew that shot was coming. Speaking of stadium, Tim, how has the crowd grown now for the 1 seed right now in the semis?
We've got a packed deck. It's really filling up. Folks are willing to get their toes cold. Bar's still open. People look pretty happy. And we've got the other semifinal match has begun on court 1. That's McNerney.
And West versus.
Trying to say, I never caught who won the.
It looks like
Baxter
Fraser
Heath.
Morgan.
Fraser Morgan, okay.
Morgan.
I don't have the draw in front of me, sorry.
We expect better. Golly.
That's a phenomenal read there by Nunez.
You know, and that's the first time I've seen him in the last two matches jump the jump on, you know, and short hop the waterfall or the flop shot.
And that's a shot that just keeps paying dividends, because if you can, one, win that point by cutting it off and then send a message that you are not going to let that happen to you, that's just one less shot that you have to worry about from here on out.
Boy, he made that lob half volley look pretty easy, didn't he?
He did. He just takes one step, keeps that head down, makes you think paddle might just be the easiest sport ever. All right, that's 2 straight games.
Don't get, it ain't over yet. 15-40.
Sounds like Tyler Frazier made an appearance in our broadcast.
Yes, he did. Boy, it's a fantastic point. Again, if you're going to take anything from a broadcast or a telecast or whatever you want to call this live stream, is how quiet they are with those volleys when that ball's being hit. Great spot from Nunez there, gets a volley error. You notice too that every time that, not every time, but the only time that we get see a Randt miss volley is when he's forced to reach for that ball.
And it seems like a lot of times players do exactly what Johan does, in terms of he picks his 7 boards and says, you're either going to hit it to me here or I'm not going to volley it. But it looks like right now, instead of him letting that ball go back and just grabbing it off the back screen, he's reaching to it for it, to your point. And it's just not working right now.
And that might be a product too of the you know, sub 20 degree, sub 20 degree temperature, that the ball's not coming off that back screen as much. You know, the majority of the time that we're playing, if it's not in February, that ball does come off well off that back screen. So,
and he might be a little smarter than I, and explains why he is in his 40s playing world-class paddle, and in my 20s I am remarkably sore after every paddle match I play.
yeah.
Great recovery by Randt there.
Yeah, I mean, ho-hum, let cord, he flips from his forehand to a half volley backhand. Boy, that's the crazy thing about paddle. I mean, we had Nunez and Osses-Konig circling the drain there at 5-3, and right now we're locked into a dead heat at 5-all, 15-all.
Three set points at 5-3.
Match points, not even
Excuse
setters,
me, yeah.
right? Yeah.
Forgive me.
You can tell right now Nunez is really looking to cut that ball off with his forehand. He hasn't gotten the chance, but he is actively looking for it.
Osses-Konig made a little aggressive play there. like he was playing mix for that one shot. Oh, are you kidding me?
All right, someone's feeling
That
good.
again. Let's
Say
see
goodnight,
that
Gracie.
again.
Did he turn his head before he touched it? I think he might have. Oh, that's pretty good.
Wow. That might make the ESPN top 10.
What a
You know, once a year, a paddle point does find its way in there. So who knows? Maybe the three of us will get announcer credit on the top 10.
Oh, there we go. It's coming again.
Ooh.
I don't know what was better, the between the legs or, I mean, the drop shot
I
between
was going
the
to say,
legs.
I don't even know if I caught that the first time that Nunez hit a tweener there. Remarkable point.
Yeah, that's all I watched. Dirty Love here, 6 serving 5.
Well, they've saved 3 match points before. Let's see if they have it in them again.
Just a little wide from Mitchell's drive off the back screen, 40-15 here. So I just got word that the other semifinal match will be shifting over to our live streaming. So in the case that this match does end, I don't want anybody to go anywhere. I'm going to be here for the remainder. Keep the lights on. But getting word that we will be moving over the other semifinal match between McInerney and West in the case that this match does end shortly. So stay tuned. It will be back in just about 5 minutes at the completion of this match.
And that was the 6th match point that Konig and Nunez have saved off. Wow, that was a phenomenal little quick dig from Nunez.
And then he misses the layup.
Oh, that's paddle for you.
There is paddle. That is
made
so
that
true.
look so easy in the corner. Match point, and he goes for the blitz.
The confidence to go hand to hand with Johan Durant down match point. Really great stuff there.
Gutsy play.
I was going to say, I feel like it's been a little bit since we've seen Mitchell or Durant try to tag someone with a fast roller. It is, looks like it might be coming back out.
Well, I think every time that they've engaged with that shot, they've had pretty good success with it. It scrambled the team up. And I'm a huge proponent of that shot. I think that, there's certain limitations in this game today. Durant with an uncharacteristic flick error there. Takes a break point to go to a breaker in the second. But I think that overhead, the threat of that hard overhead, whether it's rolled or hit flat, it, doesn't allow an opponent the comfort to just sit back in the backcourt and block lob and just kind of throw those lobs up there.
Was that match point 8?
That's a good question. He did his last.
Well, either way, it looks like we are heading to tiebreaker number 2.
Wow.
Here we go.
Oh, he did not mean that, sorry.
Oh, yeah, that's how I love to start a tiebreaker, too. A little let cord winner.
You don't get let courts when you lob.
Yeah,
So true.
I've seen a few players.
Not intentionally.
No.
See, and that's where I think Osses-Konig has to let that ball go. You know, it's below net level. He cannot keep that ball in play. We had Nunez right there to help him. Wow. I mean, that's one of those errors that you just write off as an unforced error, right?
Yeah, it's not too often you see someone try to hit a back bent pancake overhead.
But just, you know, I don't know if there's an explanation. It just wasn't like he was going for anything. Wow, that's a great play from Stephen Mitchell on that short ball. It's going right into the paddle of Osses-Konig and forced a volley error.
Aggressive reach by Nunez there.
Great dig.
I was more impressed how quickly he shot back up after that.
Yeah. That would be one time that not everybody in the stadium knew what was coming. You know,
No.
there was a couple different options that he had on that shot.
And that's something he probably does the best in the game, is he can hold that for so long that you don't know it's coming. And really good time to break that one out.
With 5-2 here in the second set tiebreaker with Randt and Mitchell up.
Mitchell not fooled at all by that spinner at the net.
And there's a case of where the engagement or that kind of, you know, was beneficial for Randt and Mitchell. Forcing that volley to try to hit around the blitzer. Wow.
Oh my, he made it. That's
Yes, he
phenomenal. I thought he was just giving, that's phenomenal.
Pulled the string on the yo-yo.
What do they call that, walking the dog?
Absolutely.
If you have one more yo-yo trick name, I will be incredibly impressed.
Hold on, I got a couple more. My dad used to yo-yo a lot. But I don't know if it'll relate to paddle. The cradle?
The cradle.
Yeah, cradle, is that right?
You
Something
know
like
what? That feels like it plays.
What a get.
Mitchell had his paddle on the deck there.
But he hit like a 60-degree wedge, Phil Mickelson, straight up in the air to stay in that point. Game, set, and match for Randt and Mitchell. Gentlemen, that was an incredible action-packed match. 2 tiebreakers. Any closing thoughts before we shift into our next semifinal that'll be coming up in about 5 minutes?
There's a reason that Randt and Mitchell are defending national champions. They played fast, and when they needed to, they tightened it up. Really good 7-6, 7-6 win for them. Into the finals they go.
So true.
We'll look forward to seeing.
So true.
Look forward to seeing if they're putting on the helmets tomorrow.
That will be I don't know who the odds-on favorite are, but they're going to be one of them. So from our perspective, we will be back on as soon as we shift the other semifinal match over. So don't go anywhere. Maybe go let the dogs out, and let's get ready for another great end of the second semifinal.
5.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second semifinals of the 50th 50th 2024 Indianapolis Open. I'm Mike Raleigh, alongside John Kilmer, and Andrew Ong is new into the booth. We are shifted to Fraser Morgan, our second semifinal of the night, versus McInerney and West, and they are at 3-2. It looks like Fraser Morgan, with West serving, McInerney at the net, tallest man on the court with the greatest hair and headband in the game.
Although careful, Andrew Ong might have that title for best hair and paddle, so it's going to be close.
But not the headband combo.
You know, this is true. Graham has the combo.
Yeah, so it's a combo platter where Andrew Ong just has the best hair.
Yeah, Ong is on his way down, you guys, just so you know, because we started this one real quick. Yeah, but he's on his way shortly.
All right. And on our on the right-hand side of your screen here, the lower level in the white ball cap is Adam Morgan. And his partner Fraser in the other light ball cap, the taller. Oh, nice little crease ball into the corner. We're at 30 love here. West serve. I'm alongside John Kilmer as my partner in crime. John, we got a second great, we got a little bonus coverage, I guess, sir. So welcome back.
It's good to be here. I always love watching Fraser Morgan. I think they just play such a smart game as a team. Having Adam be just so rock steady from back there, can drive off of both wings, and enables Tyler to just cause chaos. That is what he does best. He'll prowl, he'll chip, he'll hit hard. He can do it all, and he's enabled to do that from Adam. So I'm really looking forward to a phenomenal match here.
And I think the team of McInerney and West, you know, there's very few guys that will play more paddle than Graham McInerney with various different partners. You know, I think he's won 2 tournaments this year with 2 separate partners. Just coming off a win last week at Short Hills with Powers. And I think they had a 4-hour match against Fraser and Morgan. So he is intimately aware of we're going to be here a while tonight.
And it's a huge testament to Graham McInerney of how he is able to plug and play with so many different partners. Lefty, righty, ad player, deuce player, figuring out what he needs to do for the team to be successful. That is a huge skill, and one that he does phenomenally well.
Yeah, and you know, one thing that you've mentioned in the past is today that I've heard you been watching live stream all day, is the role that each partner plays within a team and kind of knowing your job. And, you know, from team to team or partnership to partnership, you may have to be required to play a different role. So Graham's a bit of a chameleon in that sense, where he can, you know, he can play the aggressor as well as the lobbing and patient man.
I always get a chuckle when he plays with Juan, and sometimes he will cover 3 or 4 boards, because every time I've ever played with Graham, he goes, "John, if you cover these 4 boards well, we're going to have a great day." And then this man is flying around just being a beast. So to your point, partnership to partnership, rules change.
Yeah. You know, I love to watch Eric West play too. He's newer to the scene than the last couple of years, but I mean, there's so much talent in his game. He's a treat to watch, treat to kind of see how good he's getting.
There's a video of Eric playing a summer match in Cincinnati, which might be my favorite paddle video ever. Somebody hit a cutter that went back over the net, and Eric jumped over the net and hit a tweener that landed and double bounced in the net before. And in that last match, Mike, I think, it took us a little bit of time to figure out, hey, what is the general strategy that's going on out here? And something that I appreciate about Fraser Morgan is you kind of know what you're getting. When Adam's hitting, he's going to hit hard rollers, move the ball around, hit some pushes. And when Tyler's hitting overheads, he's really looking to change speeds and really set up that kill shot. Whether he's up 5-0, 40 love, or he's down 5-6 in a tiebreak, if he gets that ball to cut, he's going to do so.
Yeah, and he's got that constant threat of, that cutter. And I really do think that they're at their best when we're letting, or sorry, not we, when they're letting Tyler really get dialed in with his overheads. And I think it was last year when they finally beat, at one point they beat Randt and Mitchell, and I remember saying that he just out-Duranted Johan in one match. And whether, I can't even remember, quite honestly, if they won the match or it went deep into the third. But
I know they beat Johan and Steven in Philadelphia this year.
And then it wasn't this year, it was last year, and I might have jinxed it, and I gave him too much credit, and then they ended up losing the match. But, he's so dynamic. Fun to watch. I love the discipline from Adam Morgan. As disciplined as Graham is, Adam. I mean, he's eating and breathing his discipline on the match strategy.
He is, and I think his drives are criminally underrated. From both sides of the ball, he just hits nukes on a consistent basis, and I think his hit rate's got to be in the upper 90s. He's a make machine, and he just makes continuously good decisions, and that is a tough thing to do over the course of 7-8 hours in a day across matches. But he just constantly makes really good decisions.
Hey, John, have you ever gotten tagged by that ball?
From Adam Morgan, I have not, but Graham is a big fan. Andrew Ong, welcome to the booth.
It's good to talk to you again. I was waiting for that.
Andrew, we are giving you credit for having the best hair in the game. But Graham has got the best hair, and he doesn't have the headband on. It's too cold out there now, but best hair headband combo.
Well, that's why I like the CPT streaming guys the best, because they always give credit for things like that, right? More than just paddle.
Oh, yeah, it's about life,
Right. We watch paddle to be entertained. That's our job tonight.
I mean, Graham does need to get that thing up in a bun or something, though, right?
Yeah, you ought to coach him. Give him some coaching. What do you think?
But if he learned right now, it might take him too long to fix it if it ever comes undone, and that would be a problem.
Could be.
So what's going on, Mike? Why is I see Tyler hit a lot of overheads usually. They're not switching?
We were just mentioning that, kind of where the strength of the team is. We haven't seen where Tyler Fraser has shifted and where they've switched. Normally they'll pull that switch.
Do you think it's just kind of cold? Like the ball's just not spinning that much? It's like, man, okay, so what? We cut into Graham and he just throws it back up. We go to high to Eric's side and, we risk him kind of stepping up and hitting a high forehand.
I think that, and I think with Adam, you're almost daring Graham to be the one that beats you off the deck. And he has a lot of skills. I don't think that is his go-to plan of being the baseline thumper. So with Tyler, I think exactly what you just said. Tyler's going to cut. Graham's going to dig, and it's a war of attrition. I think they're starting to try to bait him into some drives. And at least right now, it seems to be working up 4-3.
And I don't know, to the other thing is, you know, that cutter that he might hit into the ad side, which is West, the lefty, the forehand, where he hits it, you know, if Tyler overcuts it and it just hangs on that side screen, is that a ball that West can step up and tattoo?
Yeah, I think he hits more backhands.
Does he?
Yeah, he laced about $1 million at me at Short Hills last weekend. He was definitely hitting backhands.
So will it be something to watch? You know, are they going to switch it, you know, up at the net and get Tyler running the show with those overheads? I mean, Andrew, as a top level player, if you were playing Frazier and Morgan, how would you play him? What's the book on playing that team?
In the words of Scott Kaler, I guess I would just push middle.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really have the game from the backcourt to try and hit through them, so I try and get a really good partner who's good at that. But at the net, I would just be pushing middle as much as I can. You know, what I do like is, like, hey, if you can get Adam a little, you know, not necessarily antsy, but if, you know, you can make him feel like, oh, it's a couple backhands and you can volley them, and you know, maybe he starts stepping left. You can just, you know, move around with him a little bit, right? You know, middle, slide one into the side screen low if you can get a shorter lob. I think I would just, you know, work with him that way a little bit.
And then if I were to reverse it, how are we going to play against West and in McInerney? Not to put you on the spot here, but
no, I'm just thinking about it a little bit. I'm trying to see, like, hey, they're both, you know, super good at hitting overhead, super good at getting close to the net and stuffing volleys back. So I'm just trying to watch for a minute and see what their pattern is, you know, or what they're trying to do. Because they have the option, right? You know, I played Tyler and Eric in Cincinnati, and they were super tough because they could both play that role, right? Of hit aggressive overheads or you know, be really close on the net and help their partner out, and that's part of the righty-lefty thing. But they're both, like, I think, pretty comfortable in either one of those roles. So Graham and Eric, I think, have a similar dynamic at the net, and so, you know, it's just up to them. Hey, you know, which side do we want to go after? And it can change, right, throughout the match, right? Adam gets hot with the forehand for a minute, so you go to Tyler, and then, you know, Tyler, you know, starts feeling pretty good, gets some backhands, or, you know, he's being deceptive with the forehand push, the forehand lob, and so you want to go back to Adam, so it can change. And so that's why, you know, that's one of the good things that Eric and Graham probably have, is they have the options.
you know, and I think that's one of the great things about this game is, you know, there's so many different ways to slice the pie that you have, you know, in all of these players, and yourself included, are able to play different roles based on maybe the score, the partnership, the opponent.
Yeah, and even within a match, Mike, like, I think that's one of the things that separates, like, the best players from the really good players, you know, or the really good players from the pretty good players, is like, hey, they can do it within a match, right? They can do something that's working, and there's it, like, hey, he's really kind of heating up and feeling the ball a lot better, and we should do something else, right? So I think the best players just have a good feel for it, and when to change and how to change, and you know, decision making's everything, right?
Yeah. Well, in decision making, and then the commitment to the decision. You know, it's one thing to be able, like, this is our strategy, but then to have the discipline to execute that strategy is a whole another thing.
And then as we were kind of talking about earlier, Mike, you know, there's not many secrets in this game. Or to quote, you know, Mike Marino, everybody in the stadium knew what was coming. And last week, what, Graham played against Tyler and Adam for 3.5 hours? So I don't think the plan is, you know, how can we shock and awe? It's really maybe all 4 guys know what each other's going to do. Who, to your point, has the discipline to stick with that the longest, and who's going to execute at a higher level.
When did he say that, John? Mike?
Pardon me?
When did Mike Marino say that to you?
Oh God, that's been he and I played together for years, so
Oh,
it was a constant.
I thought he
saying.
said that to John like last year, didn't he, when they played?
Oh.
No.
No.
You know, I made that comment about like recognizing when a player's heating up, because I think last weekend, not to keep bringing it up, it's awful memories for me, but last weekend at Short Hills playing Eric, like my partner and I made that error, right? Like we lost the first set, didn't play that well, won the second set, we felt like we were going at Eric a little bit, and he was missing, and then the third set we just did it too much, right? And so, you know, just watching him swing at 3 or 4 balls there, I was like, man, his swing's looking pretty good.
And to your point earlier, that's kind of where a strategy that might not be working after an adjustment or one player getting dialed in.
Yeah, you're right, Mike. For sure. Did you guys see that? It was crazy.
No, I had a glitch. What happened?
I think Tyler went between his legs. Yeah, check this out.
Let's
check
see.
This out.
Oh, really? Yeah, he's a member out there.
Great shot.
Let me give you my card, just so you have connections. No, of course
I have to give a shout out to Steve Webster, one on Siesta Key. Gives a shout out to the whole Indianapolis paddle community, but Webbo.
Awesome.
You're the man.
That's great. Just while we're doing those, I'll give one to the guys playing in the 90s final tomorrow. Did we talk about that yet? They're gonna
Not at all.
play the 90s final. It was supposed to be Friday night, and it was just snowing and wet and slippery, and so they just, you know, kind of bailed for Sunday morning. But I think it's gonna be Ed Burns and Ryan Baxter playing Tom Weesey and John Baxter. So that's a rematch of the Pittsburgh, the West Penn 90s final.
Steel City Classic.
Yeah, Steel City Classic, sorry. And Ed Burns and Ryan Baxter won that one in 3 sets. So it should be good. And I guess that those are all Indy guys in some way, right? Tom Weesey's from Indy. Originally, he went to IU, and Ryan Baxter was here for a while. He's obviously a fan favorite in Indy.
We ought to live stream that match. That
I think so, too. I've seen enough of these guys.
Tom Weesey, that guy is talented.
That's who I want to see on the live stream, exactly.
Holy smokes, he, I don't know if I think he won the 90s at Exmoor for the charities this year.
That's funny, he lost to Graham and Scott Mansiger.
Okay.
In a 10-point breaker, but I've played so many tournaments with him, Mike. I think he's so good.
Oh, that guy is, he is extremely talented. Love watching him play.
His volley has bailed me out of so many bad overheads. I can't tell you.
And just like the level of movement, you would think by the way he moves, he's a 25-year-old guy out there.
right, so you're Fraser Morgan, right? Eric misses a backhand in the net. You're just like, man, if we get the net again, we just gotta go. And well, you can just do that instead. Never mind. Yeah, I would say Tom Weesey's got one of the most pure, like, old school, clean forehands that I've seen on a paddleboard. It's just like a pretty swing, clean contact. Then he hits you in the shoulder. Well.
Boy, with 5-all, first set. I mean, things got to be electric in the hut there. They're awful quiet, Andrew. You got to be keeping their.
I think it's just good audio-visual equipment.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, we got people here.
You know, I'm looking at the chat here, the live chat on YouTube. I want to shout out to Michael Crowley. This guy, he said that he's absolutely so true. He said that I have no idea what's going on, and I got to give him a credit that, I mean, I'm just making stuff up as we go. So the jig is up, guys. I got to hand it. The live stream, I think the live stream in the last 5 years has actually been incredible. And the commentators notwithstanding myself, but just the coverage that the average fan can now watch on live stream is incredible. So shout out to the CPTC crew, the APTA, My Paddle. They're doing a great job. Keep it up, boys.
CPTC sure gets their practice every week doing league matches.
Yeah, that I tell you, the Legends Tour, that was solid this year. How did your team fare in that, Andrew Ong?
We won, Mike. You commentated the last match.
Yeah, I was just giving you a layup there.
All right, Andrew will not be doing the script reads for us.
Only NFL scripts, no APTA scripts this year. Yeah, it was great. I was really glad we were able to do different format. It seemed like the once-a-month matches were like perfect for everyone with their other league teams, just to have something else. And the best part is being able to go to all of the different clubs, Mike, because all the members and pros, they're all just like so welcoming. You know, the members always come out and hang out and watch, and it just seems like it really works out well for everybody.
Yeah, I think it's a great way for those listening that they have the Chicago League, what's called the Legends Tour, where there's a draft night, and there's 4 teams this year that were drafted of, I don't know, 10 to 12 guys on each team, and they play 4 courts each week. Is that right, Andrew?
Yeah, 6 guys. We just went with 6, and we played 3 courts a week.
3 courts a week.
But yeah.
Multiple formats, and then you went into a four-match season-ending final where Viking was the sponsored the finals, and the winning team won some dough. That's kind of exciting.
Yeah, Viking was awesome with that.
We were talking earlier about, it's one thing to have a strategy, it's another thing to stick to it. It looks like Graham's strategy right now is he is going to block 95% of the balls, and he's just going to keep that in play. And that's something that you can for sure do at 5-all, 6-5, or whatever. It'll be interesting to see if he sticks with this for the duration of the match. Well,
Great
that's
shot.
a good ball.
Adapters of that rolling topspin, I don't know what you want to call it, sidearm serve.
He and Will Colmar learned it together, huh?
Yeah.
What was the club that they taught at together in Chicago?
Lake Forest Club.
Who was
Lake
the
Forest
head pro
Club.
there when they started? They told me.
Mike Carrico,
Okay.
who is semi-retired now. He then went on to Birchwood, where Adam Morgan is now the co-director with Allison Morgan.
Yeah, he and Will have such reliable roll serves.
And when a player's hitting that, what Andrew, what's the, what are they trying to accomplish with it?
I think they're just trying to make sure they hold the net, right? Coming in, that it's, that they're not hitting a hard serve that's flying off the back screen that gives the opponent a nice screen drive, that they're not just setting it into someone's comfort zone above the net, right? Because as long as it's, the returner's hitting up a little bit, you just feel a lot better coming in for a first volley, right? It helps your partner too, probably, because they don't feel like a sitting duck if they see someone returning a serve, winding up for a big screen drive. Just keeps it
And so
low.
off the deck, that ball tends to stay a little bit lower as well, right? So they're
Exactly.
not, yeah.
And it's a little bit easier on the body. So over the course of a match, it kind of, to Andrew's point, just kind of makes that first volley a little bit more manageable, because you have a little bit more oomph behind your body on every single first volley.
Is there another player out there that puts more into every shot that they hit than Adam Morgan?
No, I think Adam and Tyler are one of the toughest, outs in terms of effort and just like making balls or getting an extra ball back. I guess that's the commentator's curse, right?
Right.
Tyler would have thrown that up. No, just kidding. Great volley by Graham. But I just think they're such a tough out in terms of effort. Adam hits a huge forehand, and Tyler's volley and overhead, it's so good. But they're just like all effort all the time. They've put so much work into it, I think.
When then you have Graham McNerney, who is so smooth, and like we saw just there, 2 steps he floats in and has a blitz off in a game-winning blitz. It's a pretty cool thing to see the different contrasting styles of play with the 4 players on the court.
This is a little insider betting knowledge if you guys are taking bets on the matches, but Graham was on Sunday, semi and final, and he was like, you know what? I just feel like I'm in better shape this season. He said he's been playing a lot of squash, which is such a good workout, and he's won 2 Grand Prix now, right? 2 out of the 3. I think he won charities, and he just said he feels like he's in really good shape for these long days.
I think that's a good point too, because I think a lot, Mike, you probably hear it a lot, that some players refuse to play tennis because it messes up their paddle game. And I think that's a huge testament from Graham. One, playing other sports makes you more dynamic, and just being a better athlete and being in better shape is never going to hurt you in sports. And if you can play other sports to do that, so helpful.
Well, and I think as long as you understand that you're playing a different racket sport, that I'm not, but the more times that you're engaged in any racket sport, in my mind, helps you. So I agree wholeheartedly, and been on the actually Padel court with Graham over the last 6 weeks or so. Wow.
And like that's how cold it is, right? Like a drop volley to the middle of the service box was perfect.
And Andrew, how would you characterize? Speak a little bit to the temperature and how it affects the ball on a day like today for these players.
I just think you can't feel it as well, right? I think there's a little less precision. It feels a little heavier. Like you think it's going to come off a little more off the back screen, and it doesn't. And so maybe you're a little behind the ball, or you just have to make that decision so much quicker. Of hey, am I going to let this go to the screen or not? And it's a lot harder to spin the ball. And I think that's what I was thinking at first when I saw Adam Morgan taking all the overheads instead of Tyler, was just Tyler can spin the ball like as well as anybody, and today's just not.
It makes the drop shot more of a weapon.
Yep.
It makes the volley a little bit easier because the ball isn't flying off their paddle as much.
Right. And this is like such a great thing about how things work out in sports, right? It makes the volley a little easier, but it also makes keeping the net a little more important, right? Because it's harder to get back if they hit the ball through.
And it changes the way that the team will play at the net. You're less likely, where in warm weather, any driven ball that's not right on their paddle, they'll let go through and they know they've got an easy play off the back screen.
Right.
But if it's 20 degrees, now that ball's not potentially coming off that back screen as well, right?
Definitely. Oh, great shot. No, I'm sorry. Is it 6-5 in the first, right? 6-5.
He did say sorry, though.
Oh, did he?
Yes.
I just heard a loud come on.
After he said, let's go.
Oh.
He did apologize.
Wow.
Was that wide?
It was.
Because that was an impressive short hop two-hander.
Well, how's that for confidence, though, right? Playing a ton and just feeling grooved, and 6-5 deuce in the first, and just ripped two great backhands.
And this whole point, I've just been watching Tyler, right? They are going to Adam a lot. But Tyler's not just standing in his home base, right, with his paddle down. He's constantly on his toes, moving around, still trying to engage himself and insert himself in that point. So when he does get the ball hit to him, he's ready. He's not cold. He hasn't been standing around. He's actively looking to do something, which is, I think, a really good note for club players, that just because the ball's not hit to you does not mean that your job is done.
I heard a story, John, from Nationals last year in Chicago, where Tyler and Adam are playing, like, I think Scott, oh, there's the first set. I think Scott and Paul, and Scott just kept waterfalling Adam Morgan, waterfall. And then Tyler, I didn't see this, but Tyler just ran over and just smacked a forehand as hard as he could. Just once, but
well, we're
that's
going
what I
to
thought
take
of when
at
he
the
said,
end of the second
yeah.
set. We've got a note from our little note from our sponsors here. We'll be right back after these messages.
So what really interested me about the trainer was the endless opportunities with it. I've gone through a couple ball machines in my career before, and this really was a technologically advanced machine that I've never seen before. Digging into it a little more in depth, I really found the opportunities to use it in my advantage. All right, ladies, just 1 minute, we'll get started. Always trying to recreate these tennis ball machines into paddle ball machines to practice, and this was the first thing on the market that really came out. We have a robust membership here, very active in the paddle community, and I think the volley is going to kind of put us over top as a program. All right, ladies, welcome. All right, today we're going to go over our side back screens. So we've got the volley trainer out here with us today. We'll have two on this side hitting. So the cool part about the volley is during lessons when I'm able to use it is I really get a more in-depth connection with my clients. So when I have a lesson out on the court, I can set up the volley to feed a screen, and I don't have to be on the other side of the court kind of yelling to them what they need to change, what they need to do while I'm hitting. I'm really using my, my time with them right next to them to make those changes quicker so they can have more success in the long term. Bridget's on the net, Robin sliding over. We are going to be beat by this cross-court lob a lot. I'm Blake Anderson, Director of Rackets at Fairmont Country Club. Try the volley at your club and you won't regret it.
And welcome back to the APTA Tour. We're live from the Woodstock Club, bringing you the second semifinal of the 2024 Indianapolis Open. I'm Mike Raleigh, alongside John Kilmark and Andrew Hong. We've had, we're in this early second set here. I think it's 15 love. Sorry, my screen is a little bit. Morgan and Frazier up 15 love in the first game of the second set here. Fellas, any thought on that first set?
I think we saw a lot of Adam Morgan moving the ball around on push overheads in that first set because, as Andrew was talking about, weather's a factor, right? Sun's down, it's probably closer to 15 degrees, ball is not biting, which typically is where Tyler thrives with those overheads. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of mix it up at the net in the second set. Do they keep going with more of the same because they were right in every point in that first set, or do they mix it up a little bit?
Andrew, what are your thoughts? Got him with a mouthful of food, I think.
No, I felt like it could have gone either way. It's like that backhand we were talking about, Tyler short hop, like it hit the tape and it was out by an inch, right? It's like just a reminder on the small margin. So I don't think Tyler and Adam are going to be discouraged at all this second set, right? They've played so much paddle, they've played so many matches. They know, hey, great first set, but back to the drawing board. I think they should be feeling just fine. I'm sure they are.
And that's a super important skill to be able to discern, hey, maybe we just had a few bad breaks versus, hey, we have to change our strategy. I can't tell you how many matches I've got down 0-3 because 2 deuce points hit the tape. And my partner's panicking. And they're like, John, what are we going to change? Like, dude, we were fine. We lost 2 key points. We keep doing the same things. We'll be just fine. And to Andrew's point, right, this is a game of super small margin. So maybe not a lot's going to change, just who's going to execute.
You want to call any members out there, John, might be listening, that you did that with?
I'm glad we talked about Tom Weesey. Andrew and I are products of Pittsburgh Paddle. 6 a.m. at the Fox Chopper Racket Club, turn the lights on. So just, it's a nice little story for everyone out there. If you want to get better, best way to do that, find somebody else who wants to get better, go out there and practice. Matches are awesome, but practicing, that's kind of the secret sauce.
So you're not calling out any members who
No,
got
because then if I call out certain ones, then I forget to call out others. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be very political here.
Boy, that's a smart move. Smart move.
Thank you, Mike. I'm trying to learn from the best.
Shot, Eric. Yeah.
All right, fine. I'll do one. Shout out to Cooper Friday and Mason Friday, who next week will be in Junior Nationals. They have won Junior Nationals 4 times. They are going for the one for the thumb next weekend in New Jersey. So that will be my shout out.
That's a heck of a shout out. That's worth Man, the APT ought to do something special for that. Get them a video or something.
They have, and honestly, I've been lucky enough to play tour level events with both of those boys over the years. So
Really?
phenomenal players who have been integral in our D1 team. I remember last year, Cooper Friday and I won the back draw in the Dyno. So really, both of them are fabulous guys, awesome players. I cannot speak highly enough of those two boys.
Oh. And how old are they?
Cooper is a freshman in college, so 19, and Mason is a junior in high school, so 17, or I guess 18. So he's a young freshman, so 18, 17 or something.
Well, you know, the amazing thing is, and this is dating myself, but I played in President's Cup at the New York Athletic Club. I don't even know what year it was, but Graham McInerney played with his father. And Graham was still at Georgia. And another pro and I, Greg O'Neill, played the two of them in President's Cup. And it was, you know, it's funny to look back at it now. And Graham's like, what can I do better? And this is, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. So it just, you know, kudos to those kids. I mean, you never know. This is going to be a live stream in 4 or 5 years where they're playing in the finals or semifinals, the Indianapolis Open. Right?
Right, and I think you said it best, right? Graham's a phenomenal player, and the first words out of his mouth when he was younger and getting to play against two pros was, what can I do better? And the more that you can just kind of embrace that attitude, whether you're starting or you're 10 years in, I mean, that right there is going to be how, one, you keep falling in love with the game, and you can always work on something in this sport. It's what makes it so fun and has all of us risking our knee health to keep playing.
So true.
That is one of the best things, John. Speaking of, we have Brian Heil here today. He drove in from Columbus with Ox and DC, and he was around at my site earlier today, and it was just great to have him, you know, to ask him afterwards, hey, what did you think of that? What did you think of that? What can we do? You know, he was super helpful. He just knows so much about paddle. Did you ever play Brian, Mike?
Brian whom?
Heil.
Sorry. Oh, God, yeah. I love Brian Heil. Absolutely.
And I'll give a little shout out. He puts on the only paddle tournament of the summer called the Mud Hole, which is a phenomenal tournament that I highly recommend to anybody out there who gets the itch in July to put on sunscreen and get out there and play in 90-degree weather. It's a great tournament.
Yeah, Heil and Denny English. I mean, two of the Columbus. We battled many times, and unfortunately I lost to them more times than I won. And it's crazy to think that the first time I met him, Andrew, was at the Indianapolis Open years ago when he and Denny English first started. So it's been, I've known them a long time.
And I think, to steal a phrase from you, Mike, there, sometimes you got to punch the bully in the face. And I liked on that blitz, Graham has been rock solid with his volleys all night. But when Tyler had the chance, he went right after him.
Because you can't afford, you cannot afford to hit around a player in those situations. And if that's the case, then, you're completely out of position, and good luck with that. But if you have an opportunity to poke that ball at them, that's the play.
And objectively, it's always a little to get someone.
You don't get extra points for it, but you put a feather in your cap.
For sure, and you have a story to tell.
Again, the transition points and the movements from north to south is fantastic.
It is.
And that's one of those things that allows Graham to dig so well in transition is you start to see when he's on the ad side, he starts preemptively turning his shoulder and getting that paddle down so that if an off-speed ball is hit at him, he's either in a great spot to make a really nice dig or his paddle's already in a position to block it.
Yeah, and, you know, that early preparation, like you said, is so crucial in dig situations.
That's one of the first things. I have a really distinct memory, Mike, of Casey Watt telling me that. I think I got my. Yeah, I was just really late lobbing. He's like, "Hey, first thing you do, paddle goes down." You know.
It's gospel.
Under,
gospel.
under. Yeah.
It is funny that the stories that stick with you from paddle. I, as a player, I tend to, focus on keeping the ball in play in lieu of, the fun shots. And I think that might come from my first time playing in a Line 1 D1 match in Pittsburgh. I was playing with Danny Hirsch. I can't remember who we were playing. It was
God,
a
did
big
he verbally abuse you the whole match?
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was a big point. And on deuce, I'm like, Danny, do you want me to lob it or drive it? And he looks at me square in the eye and goes, John, I want you to make it. I'm like, okay, got it. That ball is going up.
That would sound so much worse coming out of anyone else's mouth. You know?
Right, but you know what? He knew what I needed to hear, and that kind of shaped me as a player.
I think it shaped him as a player, too.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Guilty as charged, right? I mean, God, that guy is a machine.
He and Trevor played Short Hills last week, Trevor Heck, and I think they had a long day. Like, literally, like hours.
Was it? Well, it's an amazing thing here how, this Indianapolis tournament, we're at 8:30 p.m. Indianapolis time, and we're just starting the second set of the semifinals. They're willing to grind.
Mm-hmm.
Little frustration there from Adam Morgan. He felt like maybe I don't miss that volley.
Got a guy in Chicago who says that a lot. Adam Schumacher. He's a big, I don't miss that volley guy.
Yeah.
Is that your take, Mike, on the most important shot in paddle, the volley?
I would say it's debatable between the volley and the drive. The volley and the volley gets you out of trouble. The drive is what really sets your opponent into trouble. So I kind of look at like if you're going to be good at two things, you better be comfortable driving and you better be you better be an aggressive driver at the right times and then comfortable volleying with tough balls. So
I feel like I should take lessons from you this summer, Mike.
6 of one, half a dozen of another. But you got to have them both.
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
In the volley, I mean, people will be like, well, what about the serve? The serve, you can have a cruddy serve and you have a great volley and it neutralizes it. And then they say, well, what about the lob? Why not have a great lob? Well, I mean, how many lobbers do you fear, right? You don't set up your position at the net to defend a great lob. You basically structure your entire point to set up the defense against the drive. So I rest my case.
I think you're right, Mike.
Understanding of what makes you the best version of you. Like if you have a great backhand, you should be spending your time, to your point, Mike, doubling down and making that backhand a feared weapon. Just because, you know, the best player at your club has a forehand doesn't mean you have to be a carbon copy of him. You got to figure out what tools in your toolbox can you build upon to be feared from the baseline at the right time, and what allows you to be at the net and hold the net in tough situations.
Amen. Amen. But you do see, I mean, in today's game, they're equally adept at being and winning in the backcourt than they are from the front court. Strengths, whatever that may be. And Graham is such a chameleon, you know, he can play his strengths 2 to 3 different ways based on his, as we talked earlier, you know, his opponent and his partner, and how is my game going to best suit,
Yeah.
you know, the situation.
He's one of the most versatile partners out there.
And I think Andrew's in a pretty good position, as am I, to kind of testify to this, getting to play with Graham in more pickup matches scenes as well as tournaments, is that he does a great job of having one eye in the present, one eye in the future. Meaning in the summer, when he is 4 or 5 months removed from playing a tournament or a league match, he might really be swinging that forehand, trying to figure out, hey, can I trust this in the semifinals of Indy? Working on improving in some instances, and then knowing, to your point, Mike, when to be a chameleon and when to do certain things. And I think some club players might play 12 months a year, and the most important thing for them on any given match is to win, which is important, but it's also important to go out there and work on things. And if you don't, you're going to stagnate as a player.
This feels like a huge game.
Yes, I agree.
Like if you're Eric and Graham, right, you're just like, hey, can we just get a little separation here?
When I think, you know, Frazier and Morgan, they're going to continue to hang around, right? They're
Right.
the team that is always on you every point and make you earn it. So it's tough to get that separation.
Right, and that's just what makes it so much more important, right? Great overhead.
15 love.
Have you ever seen Adam and Tyler keep those sides for that long before?
No, but I actually like, I would say I like that, especially if they're working Adam in the deuce side and continue to dump the ball to him.
Just to do something different.
Yeah, force the team at the net to play a slightly different different overhead if they're going to isolate on them.
And Tyler trusts his backhand a little bit more than his forehand. So I think, especially with how cold it is, if he's going to feel the need to kind of step across the middle and maybe take a chance, he probably feels a little bit more comfortable doing that with his two-hander on the deuce side rather than the forehand from the ad, especially with how cold it is.
Case there, maybe Adam Morgan look back and be like, God, I need to step up and make that volley a little bit easier by improving my position.
You think that means Graham is a feared lobber for Adam Morgan?
Might be.
Just kidding, Mike.
No, I appreciate it, Andrew, trying to throw some love in for us lobbers. I see what you're doing.
Maybe the whole stadium didn't know what was coming there, and he got caught off guard.
Or maybe the fear isn't in the moment, but in the car ride over, where you're like, oh, I have to play against this guy for 3 hours tonight.
That's right. Nobody fears the lobber, but they hate to play him. It's the anticipation of the 3-hour match.
Come back.
See if they get switched on the sides or not.
I'm more interested to see how they just play it from this side.
Yeah, I'm interested too, because when I was thinking about that, Mike, I was thinking about Adam playing those league matches in Chicago with Gabe Korach at Birchwood, and he plays the deuce side,
He does.
and he just, he's so good over there. I'm not saying, he can't play the outside. I'm just like, man, like he plays the, the deuce side in league matches where he's the best player on the court by country mile.
Or that might just be, a testament to his intensity, where he wants every rep possible from the side that he knows he's going to be battling from in tournaments, which would be a real one eye on the future maneuver.
Yeah, and it's clearly that it's not that he can't play the ad side.
Wow.
Wow. If there's ever one shot that is indicative of Graham McInerney, it's kind of that right there. Wouldn't you agree?
The net tape drop volley. Yeah.
Just absolutely the coverage, not the net
okay.
tape, but okay, we'll throw that in there too.
No, I
Give him
agree.
Credit.
But yeah, the coverage for sure. I mean, you heard, Jay Woldenberg was talking on Inside the Wires podcast, and he just did a really good 30-second job of saying how Graham knows exactly where everyone's going to hit the ball all the time, right, before they do. And I think that, he's 6'3" and longs too.
Yeah, but that anticipatory play is insane.
Wow. He stepped before, when the lob went up, he stepped.
John, I saw in the chat that Mr. McInerney replied that they were up 5-4 in the first set, and then they lost 7-5, 6-1. It was kind of the beginning of Graham's climb to the top here, so it's kind of shout out to him. They were, it's just a great. I love this game, and it's so fun to see this, where Graham started and where he is now. And Rick, I mean, imagine where he'd be without his father's tutelage. I mean, he could be, mired in a backdraw round of 32 match right now.
Absolutely, and we'll talk a little bit about that after this word from Volley. Volley is a proud sponsor of the APTA. As the first AI-enabled training experience, Volley modernizes racket sports by delivering the on-demand dynamic system for live play training and better workouts. Volley creates a community to connect pros and players while giving users personalized performance insights to track progress and customize their practice. Ask your pro about a Volley lesson today. For more information, visit getvolley.com.
Love 15.
It is always a fun time for those underdog teams when they are playing a heavy favorite in early rounds of tournaments and they get up like 3-0. Granted, they might lose 6-3, 6-0, but they can remember when they got up 3-0 on whatever seed they were playing.
Now, Andrew, what are your plans moving forward? So we're in the 14th of 16 tournament.
Really great timing. I'm going to Atlanta for work this week, and so I'm going to stick around and play Peachtree with Tom Weesey on Saturday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
And then,
I've never been.
Who are you playing with in Nationals?
Robert Steinman. I played
Okay.
Cleveland and Detroit with him this year.
Andrew's being humble. He won Cleveland with him, so I thought I would add that to the discussion.
There you go. Yes, they not only played, but they were the victorious.
I remember that
less
because
humble, John.
he beat me in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, that's.
So if I'm going to lose to someone, it might as well be the guy who won.
There you go.
He's got one of the biggest backhands I've ever seen.
And it is quick and painful. I mean, it's amazing how quick he hits it, and he can hit it from just about anywhere.
Yep. It's been multiple times, I think, just in a paddle hut after a match, I'm eating, I have food in my mouth, someone asks me who I'm playing nationals with, and I just motion a backhand, and they know exactly who I mean.
Oh, yeah. I'd agree with that.
They're like, oh, yeah, Steinman. Wow.
You know, I love to watch him play because he's the type of player. His volleys, I mean, as great as his backhand is, he's got some insane volleys as well.
He does. It's the Stanford tennis, right? He's just like, he anticipates so well, and he's just got great natural feel. He said that's one of the things that feels the most improved to him this season relative to the last year or two is the volley. He said he feels so much better to him. And there you go, Mike. Great drive, great volley, great paddle player.
Amen.
Sounds like it could be like a State Farm commercial.
Yeah, and to John's point earlier too, you don't have, I mean, no offense to him, but you look at his forehand, and there's probably 80 guys better forehands, but there's nobody better with that two-handed backhand, right?
Definitely. Great coverage by Graham there. Help! Yeah, I think you're right, Mike. Eric and Graham have sure found a groove for never playing together before, right?
It's pretty impressive.
I think
Very impressive.
about a year ago at Nationals, Eric hit Graham in the chest with a pretty big forehand, and so we didn't know how this partnership was going to go, but I think they've squashed that.
Winning will solve a lot of issues.
Yeah, I think I might try some more winning. See what it does for me.
It does make the drive home far more enjoyable.
Yeah. Right, even if it's like, hey, you just win the back draw.
Right,
It's like,
you just
man,
want
that
to win your
felt
last match.
a lot better. Wow. Great volley.
Right, but even though McNerney and Eric are up 5-1 in this set, Eric is still apologetic to Graham when he drove a ball that he should have lobbed that caught Graham out of position. And that is where this game becomes a team sport quickly, where I think at the club level, whoever misses the last shot gets blamed. Where in reality, there's a middle ground there where how did that partner set you up? And the more that you can think in terms of we instead of me, man, that helps you win more. And to Mike's point, the more you win, all of a sudden relationships are far better.
Yeah. And in the amateur play, they might have lost that point 3 hits ago, to your point. You know, where if West drives a ball that he shouldn't have, and then all of a sudden Graham gets stuffed. So often it is, like you said, I can't, you know, pile on that enough, that, you know, it's the you might lose a point 3 hits prior and never know it, and then you point the finger at your partner and it was really you.
Yes, and then, you know, it might take a lesson and let you know how their partner is the reason that they lost that match.
That rarely happens. Rarely happens.
Rarely.
Me and I think Graham, for not having a huge, you know, relative to, you know, Adam and Eric and all these other top players, having a huge drive off the deck. He just does a great job of just like that, right? Lob, chip, push, you know, into the right spot, not really getting hurt, but just changing it up. The swing kind of looks the same, and what's he gonna do? It just, you know, it does have you on your toes a little bit.
Well, you never get to take a shot off.
Right. Yeah. It's just like, you know, really calm with his body, right, until he moves like that, but he's just kind of keeps the paddle in front of himself.
And that's kind of similar to what Mike and I were talking about earlier today, where, you know, we were complimenting how these top players have total commitment in their swings on every single ball, regardless of the score. If they get the ball they want, they commit. And I think to Graham's point, he has absolute total commitment to the type of game that he wants to play. He's not going to get pressured into doing something he doesn't want to do. He's not going to try to prove to you that he can play a certain way. He's going to play the way that he knows can win him Grand Prix. And that is a skill in and of itself.
And he's won 2 Grand Prix this year.
This year, yeah. Right, not a bad year.
With 2 different partners.
John, total commitment to the game plan, right?
Right.
Set in 5-1, down 40 love, and it's just, we're not going to go away, right, from Graham and Eric. We're just going to keep doing.
And he was talking about the importance of the partnership and positive comments, and have a great impact moving forward. So
great. I haven't seen him yet this year. Played one match against him. What?
Oh, I was just going to say on the partnership, too. Sometimes certain partners also just know how to say the right thing to you at the right time. Where some guys might go into a dark spot for a couple games with certain partners, but other guys know how to look them in the eye or not, or whatever that situation is, and they know how to get the best out of their partner. And that can be just as important as anything else.
Yeah, so true. You know, it was funny. I got to call the McInerney Araya when they won the charities, and there was a specific game where Juan kind of left. He went on tilt a little bit, and I was talking to Graham after the match, you know, a week later, and I had made the point that I'm like, this is a great opportunity for the partners to just get together and for Graham to, you know, they basically say, let's make that the weakest game we play and move on. And he goes, I was watching the live stream after the fact, and he goes, at that point, when you made it, he goes, I walked up to Juan and I said, Graham said, "All right, we move on and we go." So it was kind of the same lesson, but said in a slightly different way, but very important.
That's awesome. I think Graham is, he's great at, that's one of his strengths as a partner too, right? And I think he alluded to having done something similar for Brian Compton when they played together, because Brian could swing at a ton of stuff and he could get really hot, off of both sides, but then he could get cold for a game or two also, right? And, I think Graham was, felt like, hey, I like playing with Brian, and I think that when that happens, we can manage it in the way we communicate, and, Graham feels calm and good to talk to him about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Shout out to Brian Compton. It's down in Miami, Florida now, playing padel. $50,000.
It is $25,000 for the men, $25,000 for the ladies.
I think this match has some pretty big implications on what happens in the cup between Tyler and Graham.
Really? I did not know that.
Graham was, Graham's a great platform tennis statistician, sometimes a nerd, often a paddle nerd, I guess we can say that. And he was messaging me something about that at work this week. We work for the same company, and we weren't talking about work. We were talking about the APTA Tour Cup.
This is not after hours.
Right, of course, the company Slack is actually where we should be learning our paddle knowledge.
So I want to go back. Just going to look and see what he said real quick.
Although I was able to pull it up, and to your point, Andrew, right now Graham is in the lead in the APTA Cup standings, but Tyler and Adam are right behind them, Tyler in particular. So this has huge standings because Tyler is a stone's throw right now from first. And there is a fair amount of money on the line if you win this thing.
And I think to give it just a little color on it, they pay the top 6 men and women, and I think it's $25,000 based on your results over the calendar year. And the nationals don't apply to this, I think is what I'm reading.
Correct. Definitely, there's a difference there between being first, second, and third.
In us being in the 14th of the 16 tournaments, significant.
Listen, I just call it a win when you can just see my name played against those top guys. That means you got far enough to be dangerous.
Nunez and Burish, and then, the momentum swung.
Wow.
Yeah. Louis had a lot to say about that. Well, they both did.
That's a fair comment.
But as the points get more and more valuable, it's amazing how every player starts to tighten up what they do. It's not to say that they're not going to hit their shots, but boy, they get a lot more selective and a little more disciplined.
For that backhand pickup Tyler had, 10 shots ago looked pretty smooth, but also pretty casual. I think I've only seen Girani Barnes do a pickup like that before. Knew I'd get a laugh out of you, Mike.
That's not true,
texted
Andrew.
me
My other shout out will be that's a Taylor Abbott pickup right there.
Sure thing.
I'm sure Girani would be telling you how good the shot was as he was hitting it, though.
He said, watch this.
That's a great skill. Watch this.
Yeah. Watch this, and did you see that?
He texted me and said, Frazier did go between the legs.
Okay.
Earlier. The only other person who could do that was me.
And it
Another
looks
match
like,
point coming up.
yeah.
Okay. Oh my God. What a great match.
Boy,
What a second set. Wow.
that was quite a fantastic ending to what I guess we'd call our bonus coverage. On behalf of the CPTC and the APTA, I'm Mike Raleigh, along with Andrew Ong and John Kilmer. Fellas, any thoughts as we close this up?
Pretty excited for the final tomorrow. Wish I was watching instead of playing the reprieve final.
Well, you know, you can always come back to it, and that's the good news, is this will always be, I don't know if it's in perpetuity, but we'll have it on live stream, and you can come back and watch it.
Yeah. Hey, I guess one thought is they're playing Johan and Steven, right? So this is, again, you know, third final of the year for Graham against those guys. Third partner, right? So we'll see if he can get the three-peat.
That's a great point. Great point.
Okay.
And John, any final thoughts before we put this to bed?
I thought that was an ode to disciplined paddle. So there, as you said, Mike, you can have a huge drive and a huge volley, and that can be your recipe, or you can be Graham McNerney and just be Mr. Consistent and Mr. Correct. You can be pretty dangerous too.
Okay, well, we will be back on CPTC. We'll be streaming I believe it's at 10 a.m. Eastern time. But from that, I'm Mike Raleigh, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Grand Prix event and seeing all the momentum that's being gathered this season. It's been great being a partner with the APTA, and we've been excited with all the momentum with volley as well. And we're about ready to hit our 500,000th ball right now on all the trainers. So it's pretty exciting that people are finding the product and talking about it. To keep track of all the new stuff going on with volley, follow us on social or visit our website, getvolley.com. Thank you.